And it took a bit, but I finally have all my figures labeled, gently put into boxes. It's nice that they're all stored and then it has its place. It would be absolutely disruptive if, say, like another large release happened that would have to reconfigure my entire storage system. Hopefully there's not more stuff coming. I would have to figure out how to store and keep. And all to say, yeah, we do have a bunch of new Heroscape stuff. So kindly sent to me by Renegade. We're gonna crack these open and dive right into them. Well, if you are a Heroscape fan or a fan of just miniatures in general, Thormun Cylinder is a big and significant wave. It features a bunch of returning characters or homages to classic Heroscape figures, as well as some very strong lore implications for what's to come for the future of Heroscape. And I really just do want to start diving into these boxes because honestly, I'm rather anxious to see what they look like. So starting off, we have the Revenants of Revna and the Nucklavee pack. These are units that booster and bolster Revna's faction, adding some much needed bonding to the various undead Kyrie and some just cool monsters to kind of start adding a bit of darkness to her armies. You can see kind of the encroaching darkness as she's starting to summon more and more less hopeful things and more terrifying things. I would say the art here feels very consistent. Sometimes Heroscape has a tendency of kind of going all over the place in this art direction, but I appreciate when a faction and synergy just lines up very well. The Revenants we have here are admittedly quite large compared to their counterparts. Renegade has made some brief comments about the sizing, saying that this isn't entirely what they were hoping they would look like, and it is a bit of a disappointment to see them slightly disproportionate, especially compared to their more smaller sized figures they're representing. That being said, the sculpts themselves are very interesting and very dynamic, and lots of detail is showing through. And then we have the Nucklavee, a true demon of terrifying man-horse combinations. One thing I wish it had on its power set, although I don't think there was room for it on a mechanical level, is these are commonly associated as sea creatures, emerging from deep bodies of water to drag people under, but they did capture other aspects of the monster, like its decaying and withering breath, that rotted crops for those who encountered one. So in that sense, it's very thematic, and I'm hoping that we do get some more of these giant omens and demons from folklore. All in all, this is a terrifying model. I actually painted one up of these as well before this video got posted, and it's just, I painted it and I was absolutely terrified by the final result. Overall, the detailing and posing of these models is very good. It is worth mentioning again that the bases are continuing to be their ABS like quality, so they are a lot more rigid, a lot less unable to bend like in times past. So overall, this is a very unique and dynamic wave. I'd say for the Revenants that it would be nice if that they had a bit more disfigurement on their visage. Right now, they do not, at least in their sculpting, have the appearance of being undead. I would love for them to have perhaps some decaying flesh or scabs or half skull faces, something to really showcase the lore that they're reanimated soldiers that now follow Revna. All that said, I do love like the strong detailing on the shield, and the posing is all unique, as well as you gotta admire the ability to make 3 separate individual sculpts for one common squad. Definitely one of the most diverse common squads you can ever come up with, but that definitely does feel in line with Revna's theme of diversity and varied units kind of forming together on the allegiance of, hey, hey, we want equal rights as well. That said, on a mechanical level, the Revenants really give that much needed bolstering for the Revna army, honestly helping a lot of underused units, such as the Grave Grim, as they're able to be moved with their ability, and the various Kyrie warriors like I mentioned before. It also bonds with the Nucklavee, so you have a bonding target and a squad in its own pack. So if you get a couple of these, you don't even need to buy any other figures. Overall, a very interesting release, one I was looking forward to having. I do got to mention that I'm never a fan of basing on models. I think it's widely agreed by on the community that rocks and outcroppings just doesn't fit the aesthetic of Heroscape. And honestly, as a painter, it kind of does limit some of what design choices you may want to do with basing and such. But overall, very unique and excited to get them on the table. And here are the painted varietals. The pre-painted models definitely do have a bit of that undead aesthetic I said I was looking for, as it is nice to really see the detail in it. You can see how much the colorization has improved over time as we get some very strong applications of the color. Even tiny details like the teeth and the eyes are pre-painted on this. This is also a great model if you're playing D&D and want some Aasimar or some fallen angel-like creatures in your campaign. These minis would honestly fit that role quite perfectly. Perhaps you encounter some celestials who fell from grace, and this is the models you choose to use. You get a lot of more of the subtle sinisterness that these models have with the pre-paint. Honestly, I am impressed with the colorization. Like, having so many different SKUs, the colors show through quite well. You can see that the wash has been applied a lot heavier, and the detailing thus looks a lot more sharp and in focus. Perhaps it's just this one, but his proportions do seem slightly off. Perhaps his legs feel just too long. But again, I think this is the one model in the set that kind of throws it all from being great to just good, in my opinion. Of course, you can make your opinions yourself, and if you like the model, I do have an affiliate link in the description that if you want to add these guys to your army, I think they can pose to be a simple threat. They don't have a lot of attack or defense, but they have the ability to boost their attack and pretty much have it be exponential because it applies to both their bonding target as well as themselves. With 6 moves, stealth-flying, they're able to get height quite easily and then boost their own attack. They can be rolling 3 attacks to 4 quite easily and get quite scary at that point. Also, it should be noticed that these guys mentioned Revna witches, which none have officially, as of the time of this recording, been introduced. So there's even more potential for growth beyond what's listed. Then we have the Nucklavee here. Very sinister. I was worried that this might delve into looking too much like just mutant bubblegum, but really you do get a lot of these detailings coming through, and it's just absolutely disgusting in the best way. Okay, next up we have a box I'm very much looking forward to, which are the Thormun's Thunder Skodyre Soldiers back. This box contains a single squad as well as 3 heroes. So honestly, it has a good value for the pack. I feel like it's a good value having multiple common heroes as well as a bonding squad. Again, this is the unpainted box we're opening up first. If you notice, the pre-painted has a bit of translucent effects on it. The unpainted admittedly has the translucent base at the bottom, but the actual jelly bean, as it's been called, is relatively solid. That's fine. There are some fun paint effects to make this glowing or vibrant, and personally, I'm really excited about painting this unit. There is just a lot of fun little details on these bugs, and these bugs also benefit from a little bit of the hindsight, whereas previous Skodyre were very compact and squished together, almost like bites, with little space to kind of get between teeth and legs. These ones are a lot more spaced out and elevated, giving them a lot more room for application of the paint job of your choice. And that first one right there was the Bursting Hive Soldier, and next up we have the Spitting Hive Soldier. This is like a Starship Trooper model if there ever was one. This thing fires little spits of acids from its rear abdomen, and it just has a cruel face, and again, that support via translucent stand in the middle. Overall, this is one of my favorite models they've released so far. It's just so simplistic, but so engaging and cool inherently that I just love it. This is another very cool bug. The bugs are rapidly growing to be my favorite faction. We have the Lurking Hive Soldier, who's quite evasive and can deliver deadly attacks with its fast move and high attack value. Honestly, these bugs are sculpted really great. I love the dynamic posing. They're all very curved and interesting, but while maintaining enough uniformity that they don't look too much like strong heroes, but are unique enough to definitely stand apart from each other. That was honestly a big concern I have when opening these up, is that I would get them mixed up when playing, and now I see them, it's very clear of what their intended purpose is and what role they serve on the battlefield. So props to the sculptors and designers for that one. Now we have the Skodyre Infantry. These guys are very simplistic, at least in terms of their structure. But like I said, that's not inherently a bad thing. I appreciate having some simple glorbos just to throw at the battlefield. These are nameless bug warriors. Like, they should not have that much individuality. It kind of goes against what they stand for. That said, the detailing on these models is quite well. There's enough details to keep you interested while you're paying, and not too much where it becomes tedious and a misery. These models will, I imagine, respond quite well to speed paints, which might be a good way to paint these models, as you're going to want a few boxes of these to use them optimally. Overall, I'd say the one with the 4 daggers is my favorite sculpt, and since these bugs don't follow the other Skodyre that have been released so far, I might paint them a different color scheme. Heroscape, when it first was announced, had some models previewed, and one of the Skodyre was like a pinkish purple, which I might find myself painting some of them in that scheme, just as the homage to how far we've come. Overall, these are just a simple unit, feel very classic Heroscape coded, in that they're 3 units and they all kind of have their own individual personalities, but they're nameless and faceless enough that you can see that they are a squad working together. If you notice, these are the Skodyre that have appeared in other instances, like in the Knaves or on the Thyraxes, so it's nice to see them canonized a little bit. I do find it interesting how the bugs have so much special diversity, where some look like alien brain bursters and others are just kind of simple ant warriors. Overall, I love the visuals of the set. They're scaled appropriately, and they just inspire me to play the buggos the best I can. And now we have the pre-painted variety. Let's see how they look and compare them. So the box work does show a bit of orange highlights that I don't believe show through fully on the models. That said, I do love the combination of the purple and the brassy gold. They're more of a contrast to more of like the leather and steel contrast we have of the Revenant varieties. They definitely feel like they fit right in with Einar's horde, and personally from a lore standpoint, I am glad that these bug warriors are part of Einar. As someone who knows a little bit too much about bugs, it definitely does feel appropriate to have a caste-based disciplined society operating under one of the most disciplined leaders out there. I think these are very interesting applications of the colors. They're nice and simple, and they do quite well to tell the story from quite far away. Again, we have a rock on a model. I mind this one less, as there is room to do some flocking and other stuff around that rock. These units also can work quite well in other games if you need some bug species to jump in and fill the void. Again, we have these golden claws in the purple, as well as that dark brown that we've seen with some of the other more beast-like bugs so far, like the Thyraxes. It does have a bit of translucent orange on the abdomen, although I do wish the effect was a bit more pronounced, but it is nice that it's just a small little detail on it. Honestly, I'm just a sucker for translucency, and the more we can get, the better that is. And again, we have this translucent effect on this bug here, right here in the end. This one I feel like goes down a little bit, and it's pre-paint. It's not bad. I just feel like it could be a little bit more interesting. That's why they have the pre-painted varieties. This is great because you may not want to paint every squad you have on the table. And honestly, looking at it some more, I do like the colors. They have a really nice sheen and feel to them. They're nice and heavy, and they don't feel very thin or fragile. You really would have to intentionally try to break these to break them. The plastic feels very both flexible and rigid, and it's a nice happy medium. And then we have the Notorious Jelly Bean. I love this. It is just a bright orange sack of acid. The eye colorization on this model is really nice. It's subtle but draws your eyes in. And they do a really great job of separating themselves again from the Revna Skodyre. These feel like the same species, but a whole different allegiance. And it really shows how strong the sculpting and positioning can make on a model. The translucency is really fun, and it's definitely going to be your hardest piece to miss in the Heroscape battlefield just because of how bright and prominent it is. We've honestly never seen anything like this in a model before with kind of pieced out transparent parts, and I honestly hope this is something we get more of in the future, as it's really, really cool. Anyone who is a fan of the channel know that these guys are definitely validating for me. I was the one who posited that the Eisenach were once the cute cuddly Vorids, and it seems like with this release and each new Vorid and Eisenach release, I'm being proven right and right. This represents some kind of wolf-like or Wolverine-like transition period betwixt cute cuddly woodland creature and cybernetic amalgamation of horror and fear. This, right off the bat, is one of the most economical boxes you can buy, as it has so many units packed into one box, essentially doubling up what you have. Also, you have 2 commons, so you have to buy less of the commons. It's nice how this includes a brief assembly guide on how to put these models into your respective figure. And these represent a model that's a bridge between kind of the toy aspect of Heroscape as well as the actual playable model aspect of Heroscape. I think they're very, very dynamic models with just the wires and the animalistic parts, and they're quite unlike anything I've ever seen in any existing model before. Now, time's going to tell if how much the ability to keep these pieces together is actually going to be, but for now, I love the gimmick. I think I would love some more the physical aspect of these models and things to be incorporated into the game. Perhaps a thing with a large held up where you can actually put figures onto it instead of just having them represented to be carried, or other such fun features like that. These are really well sculpted. Just on the offset here, you see just a lot of the blade detailing, and I'm personally, I think, very excited to paint these ones out of all the releases so far. The bugs may be my favorite sculpts, but I don't know if they're going to be my most interesting paints I paint. But there are so many ways to make these applications so unique and personalized to you. We have a flail with a skull on it and tendons made of robotic wiring. Overall, truly visceral and quite terrifying a look so far at what the future of Noxdorma holds. And then we have all the respective battle pieces. Each piece does create its own type of warrior, introducing a bit of like kit bashing and army building potential that we haven't seen on this level, but is sometimes associated with other games, where the weapon you choose actually dictates the stats on the card. These are punctured in a bit tight here, so we just want to make sure you kind of pump them from the bottom. It'd be a shame to break any before they even got out of the box. I'm definitely going to be experimenting with some magnets and possibly making a video on that earlier. See if that is a good way to put these units together as a standardized piece. But for now, they look really as detailed as their humanoid counterparts. Thankfully, all of them are interchangeable, which is extremely nice. So they fit on every model there, irrespective of the arm chosen. So it's nice that you don't have to find the specific arm for that specific unit, and you can just keep these ones in a small Ziploc or small bag while you're playing competitively. Definitely keep in mind when you are playing competitively of how these fit together, because I foresee it being quite easy, these pieces to get separated and lost. The friction fit fits nice. You do have to be careful of the positioning. As you can see here, I was just struggling just a little bit to figure out the alignment of it all. But this is such a fun mechanic. This is something that feels like it was drawn out of the 2000s, which that's what I feel like Heroscape does it best. The cards themselves even play into the fact of these multifaceted nature of these Eisenachs, as they show the multiple possible variations that are possible from combining all the arms together onto their respective models. This wave represents some really strong mechanical conceits on how to incorporate common heroes into the battlefield, making them both versatile and a little bit more expendable than your standard strong hero that you may feel inclined to draft. Overall, I am in love with these guys. I'm going to be thinking of all the different combinations and configurations, and just got to be careful not to lose their respective arms. All right, so we have the pre-painted SKUs of these as well. I really love the dark matte metallic they went for some of the body plates and armor. It's really striking and helps them seem slightly different from the more vibrant and yellow Eisenachs that we've seen so far. You can see this weird combination of both flesh and animal kind of fused together, possibly implying that there maybe are other outside factors beyond just the animals transitioning to this faucet here, as there's not like signs of fur, but only the remedial skulls of the Eisenach. They are a mysterious race, and definitely would like to know more about where they come from and where they're going. These models also include references to the silane that is part of the fuel source of Noxtorma, seen in some of the sculpts in the tubing and such. Overall, really love the teeth and just how rigid and scary they feel. In terms of powers, the Necotech Reavers have bonding. This is a wave that features a lot of innate bonding and really maximizes the common cores available and contemporary right now. They're able to take a turn with either a common Eisenach hero, which when they put these attachments on, they upgrade themselves to a common, or they can take a turn with one of the much bigger, unique Eisenachs, albeit at a limited activations, only moving one Reaver. This obviously makes them more suited to work with their designed common hero counterparts, but they can serve quite well in an in-game scenario when sometimes making one extra attack with one of your big guys can mean the difference between losing and winning the game. They also have a very unique ability that ties into their gimmick and mechanic called Scavenge Parts, where you're able to take a Reaver and replace it with one of your destroyed common heroes that you drafted into your army. Since the common heroes have 2 life, this is considered an upgrade for the model and allows you to create some strong jumps forward on initiative switches. Overall, just a very thematic set, one that tickles the imagination and begs for you to create some kind of storage system so that you don't lose their respective pieces. Alright, so fan favorite, much requested Agent Carr has returned, and this time he's returned on often memed and slightly joked upon unit, Carr and Dune is actually a reference that existed on Heroscapers.com as a comic series quite long ago, so it's nice to see this materialize as an actual figure you can play. You can see that the sculptors and designers were having fun just merging these two units together, and although it is thematically weird, you can draft this Agent Carr as well as the original Dune together because of the naming rules of Heroscape. Overall, Dune does appear a bit more scrawny and a bit more rat-like compared to his more kind of wolfish predecessor, but I do enjoy the additional sculpting and detailing on his face and plating on him. Agent Carr does appear a bit taller than his counterpart, and his posing is slightly awkward, but it is a bit fun. This is more of a personal nitpick for me, but I do like when mounted units actually have reins to hold on to instead of merely just kind of holding on with sheer strength of grip. I'd say Agent Carr himself is a visual upgrade compared to the classic, with a lot more of the detailing on the sleeves and the trench coat really coming through, getting a stronger sense for the character. This unit is a promotional for pre-ordering this set, but in Renegade fashion, he will become available for individual purchase at a later date, usually happening after the next Renegade Con. His abilities are a bit of a mulligan stew of his old and Dune's respective abilities. He does have an increased life of 5, as well as a higher point cost. Crippling Glance 15 allows you to remove 1 order marker at random from the chosen figure's army card, and he has his classic Sword of Reckoning 4. Overall, I feel like this unit is more fun than useful in many contemporary maps. I feel like there was a lot more you could have done to bolster agent armies or do a bit more of an interesting take on removing order markers and Sword of Reckoning. That said, he does bond with Baroness, and anytime you do have a chance of removing 1 order marker, that is always beneficial to a game. Definitely going to see a lot of play in my home games, and it's overall just a fun reference and callback to have, and I'm so glad that he's finally arrived to the battlefield. Overall, Agent Carr needed a upgrade, and what better way to get it than riding on the meme himself, Dund. Now we have a unit set containing a figure that I've always wanted and always dreamt and hoped it was possible. Finally, at long last, Thormun and his associated Kraken have been released on Valhalla. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth on whether, Thormun should become a canonical playable figure. So if you're not a fan of Heroscape lore, Thormun is one of the original Valkyrie, one who's drank from the wellsprings that are able to summon all these disparate creatures to Valhalla. He is a person filled with regret and Machiavellian levels of disdain towards the war surrounding him. He's willing to ultimately sacrifice himself and anyone else if it means ending the war, and it's entirely. It's been revealed that he is the shadow ruler of the pirates and has been orchestrating their various poisonings and other acts of treachery across Valhalla, even going so far as to poison the other generals himself. Although that poisoning did not go as planned, he initially wanted them to repudiate the wellsprings and just stop summoning and let the war die in its own accord. However, he called them feeble-minded and addicted, as the various generals couldn't stop, even if it poisoned them and brought about paranoia. Overall, a cool figure, love him or hate him, this is an impressive wingspan. The lore calls it a wingspan of a condor, and I couldn't agree more. Now, I don't have any issues with his sizing, as according to lore, the Kyrie that drink of the wellspring almost grow to giant proportions. This isn't the fully powered Thormun that was fully drinking of the wellspring, but he has forever been altered even from the times since he's been away from it. We have incredible detailing on the fur and the runes on the back, as well as him holding a blunderbuss and a Viking-styled hammer. There's a lot going on in this unit, and all just coincides to this really wow level of presence on the battlefield. This is one of my favorite models, and I know for sure that I'm going to be spending a lot of time painting it up to a level that I'm super happy with, because Thormun deserves it. He's done a lot of lore and narrative in the story, and I'm just happy he's here. But Thormun isn't alone. He also comes with these giant Kraken tentacles. Unpainted, these do appear a bit like carnation or roses, but these are pieces of a Kraken literally being summoned in an area of like subspace known as the Void. So this is just a mere representation of the Kraken with just parts of it coming through, and it's pretty interesting. If you're looking for a big monster for other games, this can definitely fit the bill. But in Heroscape, we've never had a huge squad before, and especially one that demands your attention thus so. I love the little pieces of just the sculptors really went out. You definitely feel like the dev team felt like this was important and spent a lot more effort and time on just the design and scope of this set. You have portals and tentacles and dynamic posing where the tentacle is actually the one drooping in from a portal up high, and even ship mast and a bunch of different just attributes all combined together to create this really interesting set piece. If you're looking to get people into Heroscape, put these Kraken models on the board, and I'm sure it's sure to draw their attention. That said, it also, while their models are huge, they are quite narrow and thin, so they shouldn't be too bulky to maneuver around the battlefield. It also comes with his golden command markers, which we will talk about in just a second, as well as its own inset scenario. Like I said, the designers definitely are using this as a snipping off point for the Age of Valhalla, and boy, it does feel like a climactic finish. It has a full scenario housed within, featuring a nice triangular map. It also details both a win and loss scenario, giving us a canon ending so the history of Valhalla can continue. It is said that the canon ending of Thormun is that he is defeated for now, and that his defeat will bring about a much harder problems in the future. This set comes with 3 cards. We have Thormun's card proper, as well as his boss level card to create truly that cinematic battle experience. I think this is a really interesting design space. I would love for more narrative-driven releases like this to be released occasionally. Not every set needs to have this level of detail and work, but I do appreciate how there is so many different ways to play Heroscape besides just kill them all. This really factors into that. So we have the standard card as well as the boss card. You're supposed to play through both levels of these cards for the boss, making him doubly hard. Effectively a 16 life hero is quite hard to get rid of. And then we have the Kraken's card. Their general is unaffiliated, which is a nice way to dodge them having any existing synergies or affiliations. Truly representative of Thormun is his own creature, willing to do whatever it takes, not holding any allegiance to end the war on Valhalla. And next up, the pre-painted version might be the same stuff as before, but let's look at the color applications and the respective abilities. So the pre-painted Thormun even has his eyes painted, as well as various fine detailing on his armor, wings, and such. This is probably one of the best pre-painted models in Heroscape, just from the sheer volume of all the intricate details. You can put this on your map, and every single little piece is pre-colored very well. I'm quite impressed with that, and it is pretty amazing to look at in person. The advantage of the pre-painted Kraken tentacles is that they have this translucent affixation and portals on them that really showcase that dynamic kind of nature of the Kraken. We get this strong, vibrant red and very simplistic color schemes, but they definitely match the aesthetic of Heroscape. I feel like these Kraken tentacles are definitely a representation that less is more. Sometimes you just need a strong color and some supporting pieces on it to really tell the story of a model. Sometimes a model can get lost in the intricacies and details. This one has a giant eye kind of peeking out of the portal itself. And we have like another part of a destroyed ship mast. Really, they feel like Titanic destroyers sent from another world, sent to wreak havoc and cause the end of all things. Just this set is a marvel and a spectacle, and it's something that I'm so glad to have in hand at long last. It's something to behold. But that's not even all the new stuff we have to go through yet. Because what good is a pirate king without his respective ship? And the ship we have. If I can figure out how to open it. So this is a terrain expansion from Renegade, offering some of the most dynamic terrain they've offered thus far. They're ending the current Age of Annihilation with a bang, as I mentioned before, and they're going full on dramatic set pieces, large ships, cannons, planks, and the like. So this is the Shores of Valhalla expansion set here, featuring this large boisterous terrain that is able to sit onto the battlefield and is also modular in the fact that you are able to build onto it and to it, creating your own custom shipwrecks. It seems like the terrain is meant to be latched onto the edge of existing pieces. It isn't primarily designed to stand on its own. It also includes wood tiles, which just have a bit of an overlay on the existing tiles that we have, but they do create nice textures and patterns on the map. These tiles do allow for you to build onto the ship, or you can build them on the map proper, and you have the option of saying if they work like road tiles or not, thus giving it a different aesthetic to road. Overall, they're just a different tile type, and I think map makers will have a lot of fun with this set here as they figure out how to do this set in its entirety. As you're able to create overhangs and little caves just from the pure structure of the ship itself. Or you can piece them together for larger holdouts. If you're a person who just loves the map building aspect of Heroscape, you love getting all your tiles and all your pieces and stacking them together, this is a great set to have, as it creates from the most dynamic focal points on the table for you. It remains to be seen how competitive this set will be. In pure aesthetics, this knocks it out of the park. We also have the return of ladders, albeit in a different form. It only takes a single move instead of multiple moves like ladders in times past to go up and down these ladders. That means that you can create taller maps with more easily accessible spots, and overall just create a whole bunch of different terrain and systems for this. This is a set that I'm going to let my 5-year-old play with, and he's going to build me the coolest looking pirate bay possible. It's a set that inspires the imagination and encourages you to engage with the more tactile part of Heroscape. Sometimes Heroscape, especially if you're a person like me that plays a lot, can get a little granular in the rules and the conditions. And sometimes it's fun to just have a bit of innocent fun and build. I love the terrain, and I love the terrain itself as it makes line of sight very valuable, as your positioning inside the ship like this may determine if someone can see you through the holes in the door. It also comes with cannons, which can be operated and shoot across the map, delivering small explosion attacks to those that they hit for just even more fun to play with. Overall, this is just like a big toy, and I mean that in the best way, in the sense that you're just able to create some of the most interesting looking maps out there. I just love it. Like, big castle walls. Just love it. Big walls, dynamic shapes. The hippogriff mounted on the outside is a reference to Thoracus. That's probably my one downside with the whole set, is I do wish that was like a wood mask instead of a like painted figure. I'd say if I was to offer one small critique of that, the mine does seem to appear to be missing the end of its wing here as it attaches. But again, that is such a small detailing, and the rest of the map just does so well to fill in what I've always wanted from Heroscape. Sure, the game is getting more competitive, but at the end of the day, I want to fire my cannons and build my big structures. This set is great. It features a large number of wood tiles, the structures, the ladders, and the cannons, as well as building guides and rules for the cannons. I will say the cannons do open up a bit of the rule set, and for your casual games, they're going to be a literal blast. But perhaps if you're looking to have a more balanced game, just treat the cannons as non-passable obstacles. But overall, this set is just... this is what Heroscape is about. This set right here. And that is all for the figure releases, I believe, of what was once redacted but is now Thormun's Thunder. But there are two more things I would like to talk about. Here we have the Glyph pack that is available from store tournaments and OP events. I actually did not get this sent to me. I had to drive 3 hours to Wichita to compete in a tournament to earn this. It's not the holographic form. So the tournaments do have an interesting way of having holographic and non-holographic glyphs, but I just unfortunately did not get the holographic set. But the glyphs themselves, I thought I would just show off, see if it's worth it to drive to a tournament. So we have glyphs with one updated artwork. If you remember in Age of Annihilation, the initial artwork was a bit lackluster. It felt clip artish at best. But now we have fully updated artwork with quite large text, so you're able to see it from far away. It's nice seeing some of these classic looking designs return in a new form, and it's just nice having a bit of more visual and graphic design associated with these. This is available from store tournaments, so definitely check to make sure that there's one in your area. You might be able to win or pick one up for participating. And then the last thing I want to talk about, which is exciting to me as a lore fan, as a lore buff, is the Tome of Annihilation. This hardbound book featuring both ribbon and hundreds of pages of lore and scenario is excellent. It's a must-have if you are interested in expanding the scope of the Heroscape canon and engagement. Now, is it necessary to play the game? No. Is it not needed? Not necessarily. But is it one of the best Heroscape products ever released? Bar none. It features pages and pages of fully illustrated artwork, both new and old, as well as just deep engagements into the lore of Valhalla. While you may say this is just something you can read on later online, it also features all the scenarios and all the journals in one convenient spot. It's over 200 pages of dedicated information about Heroscape. So you want to know about all the units or use them as a checklist, this is the book for you. You want to know what the heck Grut is, or Phaland, this is the book for you. if you are a big scenario player, this is an invaluable resource, as just having a hard copy is so much easier than looking at a PDF on your phone or on a computer. You can build all these scenarios and really get so much more engagement out of your Heroscape games. I have friends who migrate from other games or are very lore heavy, like Warhammer and such, and they're always asking me, what's the lore of Heroscape? And I'm always kind of fiddle around like, yeah, they summon people from around space and time. And now I can just kind of hand them this book, say, flip through it, learn the story, and see if this is something that interests you. Because Heroscape, lore isn't the most important part of it, but it does dictate where things are going. As you read through, you can kind of see hints of what's going on. There's references to fairies and Phelan. There's references to giant brontosauruses on Grut. There is a whole lot of engagement to be had from this book, and it just looks stellar to have on your shelf. So this book, I don't know what to feel about, but it's so engaging. I read it all in one night. That's how much I was excited to have about it. It's a great pickup, and if you order from Renegade, you are able to get the PDF of it as well, so it's multifaceted. And I love having all the information in one spot, and I'm kind of gushing over it. I apologize, but props to the lore team, some of whom I personally know, and the art team, the dev team for this one. It's cool to see Heroscape grow beyond just a small tabletop game to having a lot more interactable stuff with story elements and interchangeable pieces and big terrain and climaxes against legends and stories all told together. This is a great set. There are, of course, some sizing issues and some issues with some of the qualities of the model, but overall, you can just sense that this wave has so much intentionality put into it. These are some of the most interesting designs we've gotten in this new age of Heroscape. Visually, there's some really striking features. You want a giant Kraken or some exploding bugs or a demon from Scottish folklore? All's here. And that's what Heroscape is about, is having anything be possible. And this set kind of epitomizes that. Things I thought were impossible are now available to play with. Stay tuned, because with the release of this book and Thormun, I'm planning on doing some deep dives and all of this stuff, and we're of course going to be painting all this up on the channel as well. Well, I'm the Roguescaper. Thanks for letting me talk you through all of this, and I'll see you for the next one. As Heroscape's just getting started, more reveals are just on the horizon, and my poor storage system can hardly keep up.